This morning what I'm going to do is walk you through some of the things that we have done so far and advanced on. And later on, as we're working on some other things, I'll just run the camera and kind of explain them later. You only have the weekends to work on the van, so it gets a little tough sometimes videoing, explaining, and working at the same time. It's really actually easier just run the camera, get the work done, explain it afterwards. We seem to work a lot faster then. It's Mother's Day weekend, and the goal is to have this van pretty much usable by June. I really want to get out on the road with it and without wasting the spring and summer. So the goal is to get out there. So let me walk you through a couple of things that we've done since the last video. As you can see, since the last video, we've put up a layer of Reflectix around over top of the Thinsulate covers, and just to add an extra layer, we've laid them in the ceiling here as well. We've also put in the ceiling straps. If you recall in a previous video, I put in these riv nuts here up top, and there was 4 of them put in each of these ceiling beams. So, and what I found is the wood we were using, when I put it, if I just used this piece of wood, it was really tight, and the bend was just putting a lot of pressure that I didn't really like that on there. So what we did is I added these little support beams here. These are 1x3s, and I used 2 of the rib nuts there, installed those up there, and then put these up so they didn't have quite a bend to make. It kind of shallowed out the bend. If you'll notice on some of these, they still arc, they still will give us plenty of headroom, but it lowers this down, and I think it worked out really well. So we have those up, we have the Reflectix up, we've run wiring, and I showed that in a previous video, some of the wiring we've run. You'll notice I have a run for each set of lights we're going to have coming out, and real quick, some of the protection we put on there. As you're running these, I'm trying to get everything back into the frame of the van, but what we're doing is you have some of these sharp edges, and to protect the wires, I'm putting in a couple of layers of duct tape here along all of the edges, just to make sure that there's no rubbing and we don't have any issues with the wires. I've also put them together with some tie wraps, and I'll be tie wrapping these. We took some foam rolls, some extra ones we had in the basement, and we're strapping everything in there, and then I'll put wire ties on these, and these are actually running through and giving a little extra protection on any metal that will be potentially rubbing on them. So the black and the white, or black and the red wires, these are 12 gauge wire. Maybe went a little too thick on there, but you know, I'd rather be too thick than too thin for safety purposes. So these are all my 12 volt runs. You'll notice these yellow ones, I talked about these in a previous video. These are my 120 runs. So these are going to come right off the inverter. If I kind of track these back here, you'll notice these are 2 extension cords, and here's the male end of each run. So they're the male end of each run of some high-end, really tough extension cords. These are high-end construction cords, and one of them I ran down along the bottom here. This was a little 15-footer. I've kind of run it through the bottom, and then up here I still have the female end on it, but what we'll do is we'll cut this off and just kind of mount this in at the counter somewhere. And then this will be the 120, you know, this can be the power for the 120 outlet on the counter for blenders or, you know, whatever. We also ran a second one up that channel with the rest. You can see I ran all the 12 volt wiring up this channel, and we're tying it together too with foam down here, and I also put some grommeted, you know, homemade grommet, if you will, with some really strong Gorilla tape. I'm using this Gorilla tape, and it's actually really tough tape. But this other one runs up this channel and across the top here with the rest of these, and then I'm running it across the ceiling and down this side. And what we'll do here is I have it marked out. This is this little mark, if you can see it there, that's where the counter will be on this side. And then this will be our connection for an outlet over here. I'm also going to have a switch and dimmers for the LED lights up top. And we'll have that mounted on the counter over here as well. So that is that. The other thing we did this morning is, you'll notice around the edges, I sealed. So I put in some window sealer, crack filler, if you will, because this floor I'm not gluing down, I'm not screwing it down to the bottom of the van. It's actually just going to float. But really I think it's pretty solid for a couple of reasons. Number one, I wanted it for security purposes. I wanted to make sure this floor could not lift up and go forward. But it's not going to, because we have this cut out here. So it can't go past that. And then you have the cutout up here, and it can't really go past this piece of metal here. To get it from going side to side, I've sealed it in with the window sealer. So that'll give it a good, stop it from the ability to move back and forth. And we came down this side as well on it. To take all of the pieces of plywood to hold them together, I put these metal straps in. Now these are able to sit above the floor without insetting them into the wood, because if I'm behind the tape here, and I put this tape down because up there will be where the second floor and the benches and so forth. So behind that tape, you'll see there's a metal brace there, one over there, and there's one over in the back corner. They'll all be underneath the second floor. You won't see them. This one here and the same one over there, they'll be behind cabinets, as will this one here. And this one over here, they'll be behind cabinets, so you won't see them either. So that's where we are right now. One of the things I've been trying to work on this morning is I'm going to be putting in today, I'm building out the wheel boxes. I love the job with the Reflectix my wife did. She's kind of the Reflectix queen, it turns out. She wrapped these like a Christmas present around the wheel well. So that sealer really kind of locked that all into place. I'm going to take those, the cargo holds off, and then I'm going to build wheel well boxes today. But some of these cargo rings I'm going to leave in. There's one here, and I'm going to leave it here. And I'm going to build like a little access port through the cabinet from the outside to this one, and then on this side there's another one that will go there. I don't know what I'll use them for, hammocks, tarps, I have no idea, but it just seems a real shame to have a good solid hold anchor point like that and to just toss it out the window for no reason. And so the ones on the wheel well boxes, they'll have to go, and I may in the back, there's some screws for them. I may try to get those back in there, but we'll see. One of the things I did do is this is a 10mm in the Ford Transit, and this is just a temporary bolt in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bolt with a big washer and like a carabiner, because in the side door you'll notice you have like a handhold. So when you're stepping up, you can kind of grab onto this handhold to come in. There's nothing in the back. Now, not that we'll be accessing in through the back, but if you're stepping up there to do anything, we found that there's nothing to hold on to. So what I'm going to do back here is put like a carabiner or something and some kind of strap to hold on, and those can also be anchor points as well. So these are 10mm bolts, so they're pretty sturdy, and I've got one there, and from the factory there's another pre-drill here. The LED lights that came from the factory, I'm leaving the 2 in back here, but there were 8 of them in here. I've taken the rest out, and we'll be putting in 6. So the 6 I took out will get replaced with 6 puck lights that will set up in the cedar tongue groove. And let's see what else. So we covered the Reflectix, the sealer, the connections of the floors, the protection. I have a couple little pieces of tape I need to put up as I'm kind of feeling around, and I'll tell you why you need to do this. I found one up in here, there, you know, every now and again, right here it is. Every now and again, you'll find there's a really sharp piece when they stamped these out. Man, there's some really sharp, they're like razor edge. And you just want to cover them up because you don't want the wires. And I'll show you over here an example of one. I don't know if you can see it with the camera. And I'm going to need to, I didn't put a grommet in this one yet, but you can see this is where I ran the wire through here. And if you'll notice, hopefully you can see there's like a, this isn't cut, but it's just like an indent of where this is resting on here. So what we'll do is I'll tie this up somehow in here to take the pressure off of it, but I'll also put some duct tape in there for a grommet to protect that as well. So that'll be safe and secure as well. This wiring here, I said in a previous video, we'll have to mount this behind the cabinets. This is the one for the you know, for the van itself. It came from the factory. There's not much I can do with that, and I'm not about to disconnect it. These connectors here are where the LED lights were connected in from the van originally. Here's one here. So I'll have to hide those behind a cabinet. This back piece back here, we're thinking what we're probably going to do is I might put like some kind of plywood faceboard around that for the ability to hide the wiring there and to deal with these openings here because these are just wide open into this channel, and I really don't have any good way to insulate that and protect from the cold, so we'll deal with that in that fashion. So that's kind of where we're at today, and today we're going to be doing the wheel well, the boxes for the wheel wells, and start getting things ready to install in here. You know, we have the infrastructure put in, and I think we've covered everything. I don't think we've missed anything at this point. We're going to start wiring in the battery is going to go over there, so all of my runs are coming back over to here, and you'll notice that everything is labeled here. I've labeled them on either side, so I'll start wiring in my 12-volt fuse box back in here, and we'll go from there. So that's kind of where we're at today on Saturday, and I'm going to get back to work for the rest of the day here, but I just kind of wanted to check in and show you some of these things that we've done so far before I start covering them up, because like I said, it gets tough to really explain this all the time along with what you're doing, because you're constantly starting and stopping, and it's easier just to do the work, come back and explain it. So we're going to go from there. So this is Ken. If you found this useful, like the video. If you find the content we're putting out useful, consider subscribing to the channel, consider sharing the video, and until next time, we'll see you later. Peace.